안녕하세요. Riding on the Korean wave. Welcome to Friday's edition of The Culture Wave. I'm Kwon So-hwa in Seoul. Explore with us Korea's culture from all aspects and stay up to date with K-entertainment, K-calligraphy, K-festivals, K-everything. And we'll do all of that together with our co-host Bella Kim joining me in the studio. Hello, Bella.
Hi, Soa. Happy Friday, Soa.
Happy Friday.
And happy Friday to everyone joining us today on The Culture Wave. I'm Bella here to co-host and fill you guys in with some exciting entertainment news.
And we have our news features reporter Byun Ye-young back in the studio. Hello, Ye-young.
Hi, Ye-young.
Hello, Soa. Hello, Bella. Thank you for having me again. And a big happy Friday to our viewers. I'm Byun Ye-young, a news features reporter here at Arirang News.
So Ye-young, last time you reported on a musical festival. Now this time you went to a much more calmer and quieter place. So where did you go?
Yes, so that's right. It was a retrospective for Seo Hee-hwan, also known as Pyeongbo, a master Hangeul calligrapher. The pieces were beautiful, and for me, the exhibition shed completely new light on Korean letters. Let's take a look together.
Geometric beauty and fluid structure materialized in black ink. Korean calligraphy, or Hangeul Seo Hee, is an art form rooted in rhythm, balance, and the expressive power of the written line. Hangeul offers a unique aesthetic language of its own, one that is now being rediscovered as a distinct art form. A new retrospective at the Seoul Arts Center shines a spotlight on this very tradition through the work of a master who dedicated his entire career to breaking away from the better-known Chinese characters and elevating Hangeul calligraphy into high art, Pyeongbo Seo Hee-hwan.
Master Seo Hee-hwan's artist pseudonym, Pyeongbo, meaning to walk steadily without rest, was given by his teacher, Son Jae-hyung. It reflects the idea that even slow progress leads to mastery, as long as you don't stop.
Although he was the first artist to receive the Presidential Prize for a work of Hangeul calligraphy, his work also drew criticism for resembling his teacher's style. Seo accepted the critique and embarked on a journey to find his own voice. That journey began with the return to the roots of Hangeul. In a section titled Deep-Rooted Tree, we see how Seo turned to early printed text from the time of King Sejong. This is Seo Hee-hwan's interpretation of Worin Cheongangjigok, or Songs of the Moon's Reflection on a Thousand Rivers. Originally compiled by King Sejong, the creator of Hangeul, it's a Buddhist hymn book dedicated to his late wife, Queen Sohwan. The interpretation by Seo Hee-hwan contains around 10,000 Hangeul characters on a single folding screen. By studying the typeface-like Panbonche styles from early Joseon, Seo grounded himself in the fundamentals of Hangeul and gradually shaped a calligraphic language that was uniquely his own. He explored more artistic styles as well, like this piece where the brush naturally flows into the next character. Commemorating 30 years since Seo's passing, the exhibition runs until mid-October at the Seoul Calligraphy Art Museum Gallery, and there are also programs where visitors can try their hand at Hangeul calligraphy. This retrospective gives visitors the chance to see up front that Hangeul Seo Hee is more than just writing. It's visual art, where each stroke carries emotion and history.
Well, that was a great tour to that calligraphy exhibition because I can't remember ever having been to one of those calligraphy exhibitions. What about you, Bella?
Me neither. I haven't, looked into one of them. But after looking at your report and looking at how artistic it is, I definitely do want to visit one in the near future. So my question is now, are these exhibitions mainly to commemorate the anniversary of calligrapher's death?
Well, that's part of it, but there's actually another reason that makes this exhibition especially timely. Just this past January, Hangeul calligraphy, or Hangeul Seo Hee, was officially designated as a national intangible cultural heritage by the Korea Heritage Service. Traditionally, when we think of brush calligraphy, Hanja or Chinese characters come to mind because that is more widely recognized. But this designation is helping people see that Hangeul calligraphy stands on its own as a unique and original form of visual art.
Well, it all sounds very interesting, but Ye-young, what about people who can't read Hangeul? How can they enjoy the exhibition?
I actually had the same exact question, and thankfully, the curator I spoke to had a great answer. Let's take a listen.
I don't think foreign visitors need to focus too much on understanding the exact meaning of the Hangul text. Instead, it might be more interesting to observe how the letters are expressed on the canvas or paper and take a closer look at each character individually.
So, as he said, whether you can read Korean or not, you can still enjoy Hangul calligraphy as a visual art, maybe by focusing on brushstrokes, spacing, or just how each character is spaced. So you know how some people think the character Hugh looks cute because it looks like a little face with a hat? The curator even suggested picking out a single character or style that stands out to you, maybe one that feels playful, powerful, or just visually appealing. That kind of personal connection can make the experience really memorable, especially for international visitors.
That was really a cute example of how you can picturize these letters. Well, thank you very much for today's report, and see you next time, Yayoung.
Thank you,
Thank you so much for having me.
And now time for some K-entertainment news with Bella Kim. Bella, let's jump into the first story, which is about a comeback that many of us have been waiting for.
That is correct. Just before our show today, BLACKPINK released their new single, Jump. This is the song that BLACKPINK actually performed for the very first time at their Goyang concert last weekend, as Walter reported earlier this week. Now, Goyang concert, after they had Goyang concert, they released this album, and Jump is actually BLACKPINK's first new release as a complete group in almost 3 years, and it's also marking the start of their new world tour, Deadline. BLACKPINK is currently on that tour right now, which spans across 16 cities with a total of 31 shows. And following their successful kickoff in Goyang, they are set to continue across major cities worldwide, including Los Angeles, Toronto, Paris, London, Jakarta, and Tokyo.
You know, Bella, usually I really focus well on what you say, but I couldn't help but glimpse at the music video, and it really wanted to make me to jump and also like headbang.
Yes.
Well, fans, I guess, will love this new song. Now, Bella, the next story is also on K-pop, but it's related to the Grammys.
Yes, it is. 16 artists and producers from HYBE Music Group will join the Recording Academy as members. On Wednesday, the Recording Academy invited 17's Uji and Bonon, Tomorrow by Together's Yeonjun, LE SSERAFIM's Hoyunjin, and a couple more from HYBE as new voting members. Notably, the entire group, Cat's Eye, was invited. The Recording Academy is a prestigious organization of music professionals that represents the voices of artists, songwriters, producers, and engineers. It was established in 1957 and has been hosting the Grammy Awards since 1959. The voting members can participate in the selection of Grammy Award winners. And currently at HYBE, Chairman Bang Si-hyuk, all 7 members of BTS, and producer P-Dok have been selected as voting members.
And we're gonna wrap up with an upcoming film, Bella, featuring one of your favorite actresses.
That is very correct. I'm going to talk about a singer-actor Im Yoon-ah. Im Yoon-ah will make a screen comeback with Pretty Crazy, or 악마가 이사 왔다 in Korean. Pretty Crazy is a comedy film about Gil-gu, a young unemployed man who takes on unusual part-time job, keeping an eye on his neighbor, Sunji, who actually transforms into a demon every night. Yoon-ah took on a dual role of Sunji, who runs a bakery during the day and unknowingly awakens a demon at night. So 2 roles as a one person. And to portray this stark contrast, she actually underwent a complete transformation in her styling, voice, and also acting. Meanwhile, Gil-gu is played by An Bo-hyun. It's also notable that Yoon-ah worked with director Lee Sang-geun again after their hit film Exit. Pretty Crazy will premiere in theaters on August 13th.
Let's see how the chemistry between Im Yoon-ah and An Bo-hyun turns out, because I really loved the collaboration between Im Yoon-ah and Jo Jung-seok in Exit.
Yes.
So looking forward to this comedy again.
Definitely.
And thank you very much, Bella, for those updates.
Thank you.
And now let's go over to our AI anchor, Ari, for other culture-related news. Ari?
Hello and welcome to your AI guide to the latest cultural updates from Korea. Here's our top story. The government is ramping up safety measures ahead of a wave of large-scale events nationwide this summer. A pan-ministry meeting on Thursday reviewed safety protocols for festivals, concerts, sports events, and other gatherings, as well as crowded sites like subways, airports, and beaches. Key measures include intensified monitoring and safety officer deployment for events expecting over 20,000 attendees, and on-site inspections for performances drawing more than 5,000 people. Coastal safety personnel will be stationed at all 256 beaches to strengthen patrols, while crowd levels at the busiest train stations and rail lines will be closely watched. The 2025 KBO League, which kicked off in late March amid a record-breaking boom, wrapped up its first half with Thursday's games. The Hanwha Eagles shook up the league standings by clinching the top spot in the first half, a first for the team in 33 years. The league has entered a 6-day All-Star break, with the marquee game slated for Saturday in Daejeon. The second half resumes on July 17, with teams set to intensify their push for the top, adding heat to the season's all-time high baseball fever. The KBO became Korea's first professional sports league to surpass 10 million in total attendance last year, and it's on pace to exceed 12 million this year if current trends hold. The Ronmu Solo exhibition at the National Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art Seoul has attracted over 503,000 visitors in 90 days. According to the museum, the show recorded an average of 5,590 daily visitors, the highest for any single exhibition since the museum's opening. Visitors in their 20s and 30s made up 70% of the audience, with their reviews widely shared on social media, helping to sustain the buzz for nearly 3 months. The exhibition is the largest retrospective of Mu's work in Asia, featuring 24 pieces, including 10 sculptures, 12 studio photographs, and 2 documentary films. The show runs through this Sunday. That's all from me. Stay tuned to the Culture Wave.
Stay Strange is what the 29th Bucheon International Fantastic Film Festival calls for and has been calling on for years with its slogan. Korea's representative summer film festival, held in the city of Bucheon, halfway between Seoul and Incheon, is now approaching its end. This year's event, once again, filled with imaginative works of horror, fantasy, science fiction, and more. Let's talk about the highlights with our movie expert Jae So, professor and filmmaker at Seoul Institute of the Arts. So welcome, Professor So.
Hello,
nice
Professor.
So, Professor, you're actually back from Bucheon. You have been to the BFUN this year. So how was it?
Yeah, I went yesterday. It was really amazing. I went to see a student film that made it to BFUN. So it was a short section. And what I just remember is just, it's my favorite festival, first of all, because it's all about genre movies. But what was great was it's so hot right now.
Right.
So it was really nice to see, something in a really cool theater, and the movies were all scary. So that combination was like amazing. But as you mentioned, it's a festival that celebrates genre filmmaking. So everything from horror to science fiction to fantasy. And this year they have 221 films from 41 countries, and there's 54 world premieres happening right now. And today's unfortunately the closing ceremony, but there's actually 2 more days. It goes until the 13th.
Right.
So there are many different sections in the festival, but I really like it because I'm a big fan of horror. I'm a big fan of science fiction. So for a lot of audiences, I think it's probably the most mainstream festival that's out there. So I think, definitely if you get a chance, try to catch the movies in the next 3 days.
Oh, I'm jealous because I'm not good with horror movies, so I won't be able to watch some of the movies. But I did hear that there are plenty of movies to watch in different genres. But it's also very well known for its focus on unconventional imagination and experimentation with genres, and it's celebrating its 29th year this year. What role does this festival play in the Korean film industry as a whole?
Well, I think it's one of the few festivals that, you have Busan, then you have Jeonju Film Festival. Their focus is more about maybe Asian cinema and about art films. Of course, Busan's a bigger venue, but Bucheon has been consistently, the title Fantastic Film Festival, as you mentioned. It's something that's much more commercial-minded. So a lot of films from this festival have gone on to be big box office hits, whereas like other festivals, it's more like indie sort of feels. So and also Asian cinema as well. So they have a thing called NAF, N-A-F-F. So it's about like connecting Asian like producers and filmmakers to Korean money or vice versa. And that's really kind of blossomed into something. And so at this festival, you get, I think Bucheon is one of like, it's almost like a thermometer in terms of like, if you want to show a movie there, how it's going to play with audiences. And also a lot of, like different countries from Asia are bringing their genre movies here. And so Korea is a big market for that as well. So I think the festival is definitely sort of a conduit or like a basically a focal point for all these things to converge in one spot.
It's interesting that you mentioned that it is one of the most commercial film festivals compared to the other ones, while its slogan has been "Stay Strange" for the past 5 years or so. So I found that very interesting that they're calling on filmmakers to be strange and having that slogan for the past 5 years or so. But also what might have been strange to some people was the opening movie this time, which was a movie with a screenplay that was written by AI. So tell us about this movie and what does that mean to the film industry?
So this movie was directed by Peter Winewich, who it's called About a Hero. And it's basically a funny premise. AI wrote it, but before the AI actually wrote the screenplay, they made the AI binge watch Werner Herzog movies. And if you know Werner Herzog, he's a great filmmaker from Germany. And he's also like an opera director and an actor. But he's made movies like Nosferatu, Fitzcarraldo, Agira, The Wrath of God. And then he's also a great documentary filmmaker. So his movies are like about sort of human weakness, about sort of like a surrealistic imagery, and about just weird subjects. And so you're teaching AI, like, I want to make this like Werner Herzog-esque movie. So the movie is about like some person's death that happens in a fictitious German city, and it's narrated by somebody. So I just watched the previews for it, and it just kind of felt like something Werner Herzog would make, but it was also weird because it's not, basically the human element was like making the film. Everybody went ahead, but they didn't change a word. They let AI do it. And so the director was sort of experimenting to see like how creativity works with artificial intelligence. And I think as an experiment, I think, interesting. About birth of new cinema, I don't really know. Yeah.
So for now, you can still differentiate for just like the general people.
Yeah, fortunately, at this stage of the game, AI is a lot, behind human imagination, and thank God for that.
Okay.
That's good to hear. And the festival, BFAN, is also very well known for its special programs. I know there is one that's going on. It's focused on the special actor showcase. And this year, there's a focus on Lee Byung-hun, obviously from Squid Game. So please tell us about the programs that's going on at the festival.
Yeah, every year, BFAN chooses an actor. And this year, they chose one of the biggest actors in Korea. So 30 years of filmmaking, his filmography, Lee Byung-hun's famous for, recently he was in The Match, but in Squid Game, he's like basically the most like well-known, outside of Korea, well-known actor. So he's been in Hollywood movies. He was in like, the Terminator series. So they're doing sort of a retrospective on his work. I think they're showing 10 movies by him. And then he was also there at almost every single showing of his movie. So you got to meet him, and there's a talk that featured him. And he's a really, I would say, an interesting guy because he's met so many different filmmakers and had so many weird experiences that I think he's definitely, needed to be celebrated kind of actor, and he was the perfect person for it. But BFAN has a lot of other, they also had events about AI. So, they've been doing that since about 2 years ago. And this year, their goal is to give 1,000 content creators the ability to use artificial intelligence to enhance their sort of content. So there's a lot of packed events happening at the festival, for sure.
Right. I think I remember vaguely last year there was also an AI movie that brought a lot of attention with pumpkins being one of
made by a Korean filmmaker.
Exactly. Well, so it looks like the film festivals in the future will all feature a lot of these AI elements. But now the celebrations in Bucheon are coming to an end. As you mentioned before, today is the closing ceremony, but you can still enjoy the festivities until Sunday. So until what we saw until now, how do you read into the trend of this year's works? And also, was there anything that really stood out to you?
Yeah, well, yesterday I watched short films, but what I noticed, there's an animation that used a lot of AI, so even for the voiceover. So I think filmmakers, when they're starting to approach a lot of material, they're using everything available to use in their creativity. But I also wanted to recommend a couple of films. Like tonight, they're showing the closing night's film. It's called The Go-To Restaurant. And it's directed by Hangeul, and interesting enough, Ma Dong-seok is the producer. His company is making a movie, and basically it's about a story about like somebody that is missing in a restaurant, and so it's kind of a drama based on that. So I would highly recommend seeing that movie. Another movie is a movie called The Ghost Game, and this is by director Song Dong-hwan. And it's a high-teen sort of horror like mystery film, and this features from Red Velvet Yeti. And she's featured in the film, so I would highly recommend seeing that movie. And then there's a movie made by a foreign director, Emily Blichfeld is her name. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. She made a sort of a body horror film called The Ugly Stepsister. So it's like a retelling of Cinderella, but using body horror. So if you're into that, it's in the new flesh section. So I would highly recommend seeing that as well.
I think Bella and I would be more into the first movie that you mentioned.
Definitely. So there are so many films, and obviously, as you mentioned, different genres of the film. But for those who can't make it to Bucheon, I heard that there's also films that you can catch at the theaters. So please introduce those to us as well.
Yeah, there's actually a movie that's already in the regular theaters playing called Noise. And this movie is directed by Kim Soo-jin. And it's basically, as of today, I think it was like 870,000 people went to see it. It's a very small-scale horror movie, like you said, Noise. It's about a woman who basically has a hearing problem, and she's missing her sister. And then she starts hearing strange noises in the apartment. And so the two movies that I want to recommend is actually about apartments, living in an apartment. There was Concrete Utopia a couple years ago. And in Korea, the big thing is about living in an apartment. You want a high rise in a really good neighborhood type of thing. So these movies kind of like talk about those themes of like how people's sort of desire for materialistic, comfort, it turns into a nightmare. So Noise is a movie that's in the theaters you can watch right now, and it has Lee Sun-min as the actress in it. And also the other movie that's gonna actually feature on Netflix is on the 18th is a story. It's titled 84 Square Meters or Wall to Wall. It has Kana in it, and basically this is the classic story of 84 meters squared is like basically the optimal space that somebody has to attain. And so Kana's character buys this new apartment, and it turns out he has like these crazy neighbors. So it's a horror film based on that. So it kind of talks about like basically what all Koreans go through in terms of trying to get the material comforts that they wanted, having a nice car or having a nice apartment. So those themes are kind of linked in the two ways. So I want to recommend those two films.
So a little horror element in there, but also talking about Korean society. And last but not least, Professor Seo, how do you see the current trend of Korean movies, maybe in the latter half of the year or right now?
I mean, one of the things I noticed when I went to Bucheon and I listened to the AI seminars and things like that, what it was saying was that basically these are tools to be used, and I think maybe Korean cinema needs a tune-up. So we're really good at making genre movies, and right now, not many people are going to the cinemas. I think we need a tune-up in terms of storytelling, and maybe, at the festival, the AI sort of panelists were talking about how a good filmmaker using AI tools can make a really great film, but a bad filmmaker will probably make a terrible film with it. So, it's still about creativity and trying to come up with like a new way of telling a story. And if AI helps you to do it, it can enhance you. But I think it's kind of it's too soon to think machines are going to take over and make movies for us. If they did that, I think it'd be a sad day for cinema. But I think, as we are in 2025, we don't have to worry about that right now. But at the same time, I think we have to keep our tabs on what AI could do to enhance it. I know, for example, in CG or sound effects, they are using it a lot, for things like de-aging, or also, the Academy Award-winning film recently used it to change the sort of like the mouth pattern of the actor so it matches the language. So those are tools being used right now, but at the same time, there is that danger, how much of it is like something that you created or a machine created, and then how do we sort of, if a machine-enhanced movie is like a commercial hit, is that going to encourage more machines to be, part of this? Or at the end of the day, I think creativity is the last sort of frontier that I think AI will have a hard time conquering. So hopefully, real human filmmakers will continue to make the movies.
Well, and on that note, we want to say thank you for your insights again today, Professor Seo, and see you next time.
Thank you,
My
Professor.
pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you, Bella, as always. Have a great weekend and see you next week.
Yes, I'll see you back next week.
Thank you for spending the past half an hour with us on the Culture Wave. May you have a splendid weekend, maybe with a good movie or at a summer festival. And we'll be back next week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Korea time.